The only thing bigger than the 7-foot 1-inch, 325-pound Shaquille O'Neal during his playing career was his outlandish personality. After a remarkable 19-year tenure on the hardwood, these days Shaq holds court on TNTs inside the NBA, bringing his trademark humor to the floor and verbally dunking on his preferred sparring partner, Charles Barkley. But well before he hung up his Shaqnosis sneakers in 2011 and stepped behind the commentating desk, the larger-than-life basketball legend had created a sizable name for himself as well. Here are a few things you may not know about Shaquille O'Neal. Was estranged from his biological father until he was in his 40s. Shaquille Rashaun O'Neal was born on the 6th of March 1972. He weighed 10 pounds 13 ounces, about average for a baby. His mother, Lucille O'Neal, had just graduated high school, and his biological father, Joe Toney, was an all-state high school guard who lost his basketball scholarship to Seton Hall because of drug addiction. While Shaq was still an infant, Toney was sentenced to federal prison, and when he was released, Lucille got Joe to legally relinquish his parental rights to Shaq's stepfather, an Army drill sergeant named Phillip Harrison, who raised him from the time he was 2. Shaq's resulting childhood was a fulfilling one, though he would often return to Vonda's kitchen, a diner in Newark, New Jersey located right below Toney's apartment, and wonder if he was going to run into his biological father. Once he started to make a name for himself, Toney tried reaching out one time in Orlando. Shaq left the basketball arena through a back entrance to avoid having to have any interaction with Toney, who had shown up and wanted to meet. Shaq even publicly outlined his feelings about their intentional estrangement in a 1994 rap song, Biological Didn't Bother. Stepfather once lost some teeth to a Boston Celtics legend. Harrison, who was also known as Sarge, was a gruff parent who often relied on physical discipline for the young Shaq, claiming he'd rather punish his son himself than see it done on the streets of Newark beyond his purview. Harrison was a pillar in Shaq's life, and Shaq frequently praised Phil for keeping him out of trouble and giving him direction. Luckily for little Shaquille, Harrison was a ball player himself, and he coached Shaq's youth basketball teams throughout his childhood. Harrison would also sometimes brag about the time Dave Cowens, the future Celtics Hall of Fame center, knocked out some of his teeth during a particularly aggressive game of pickup. In August 1969, according to the Tallahassee Democrat, Cowens, who was then a star at Florida State University, happened to be in the Newark area because he decided to spend a few days with a fellow FSU teammate who was from nearby. That game of pickup only happened because Cowens decided to bail on his original plan, attending Woodstock. Was already 6 feet 4 inches tall at age 10. No one was more responsible for kids quitting youth basketball in the greater Newark area than the big Shaqtus in the mid-80s. In fact, Shaq remembers a rival's father once storming the court and removing his son from the competition mid-game, shouting, "He's not 10. Bullshit. He's 10, he's gonna be the best big man in the world." The man, while enraged, was not at all wrong. By 13, Shaq had grown to 6 feet 6 inches and wore size 17 shoes. Shaq's jersey number was inspired by an NBA legend with a twist. Harrison was responsible for Shaq embracing his size and using it to score under the basket, rather than deferring and shying away from his clear physical advantages. By Shaq's teenage years, Harrison had been restationed and moved the family to San Antonio. A now poised and confident player, Shaq led his high school team to a 68-1 record during his junior and senior seasons. The school didn't possess a number 33 jersey, so Shaq's attempts to honor Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the trailblazing NBA center, were thwarted. Hence his famous number 32 jersey was born. When he played at LSU, he was able to nab 33, but in his rookie NBA season in Orlando, veteran Terry Catledge refused to give up his 33 jersey, so it was back to 32 for life for Shaq for the remainder of his time with the Magic. Led his college's conference in basically everything his sophomore year. The 1990 and 91 season was Shaq's coming-out party. During his second collegiate season at LSU, the Diesel was a man among boys, becoming the first player to ever lead the SEC in scoring rebounds, field goal percentage, and blocked shots, and he took his opponents by surprise. Those who expected a round mound of rebound were taken aback by his sheer power. As rival Darrell Ice Jones of southeastern Louisiana so eloquently put it, I thought Shaq would be fat, but he's got no fat, none whatsoever. He's just 7 feet of muscle, a muscle monster. Was famously left off the original Dream Team. And yes, he was upset about it. While the powers that be attempted to choose the best NBA talent possible to represent Team USA and take on the world at the 1992 Summer Olympics in Barcelona, they reserved one roster spot for a collegiate star. Shaq was a junior at LSU at the time and fully eligible, but the spot instead went with Christian Laettner, a Duke standout who was thought of as more polished. At the time, the international free throw lane was designed differently, and the committee filling out the roster believed that would cause traditional post-up centers to lose their effectiveness. Of course, the young Shaq didn't take it well. I was pissed off, I was jealous, but then I had to come to the realization that I was a more explosive, more powerful player. But Christian Laettner was a little bit more fundamentally sound than I was. Luckily, the snub only motivated him. Team USA took home the gold in '92, and they did again in Atlanta. During the '96 games, Shaq was on that team. The rookie Shaq was sickened by the smell of alcohol. Shaq was immediately the toast of the NBA. Among his many accolades, he was named Rookie of the Year for the '92 and '93 season, and he nabbed a starting spot in the All-Star game his first 4 seasons. But though young Shaq was the new face of the game and the life of the party, at 21 he couldn't stomach alcohol. His teammate Dennis Scott used to say, "Can't even tolerate the smell of table wine." Turns out there was a good reason for that. Despite his distaste for the stuff, Shaq eventually marketed his own line of vodka, the excellently named Love Shaq. As Lakers teammates, Shaq and Kobe didn't initially click on court. The most prominent portion of Shaq's career was spent in Hollywood, and his 8 seasons with the Lakers brought 3 NBA championships to the city. But while Shaq's LA years are known for being unfathomably dominant, many wonder how fruitful they could have been if he and teammate Kobe Bryant hadn't been so incompatible off the court. Bizarrely, the two couldn't sync their play properly from the outset based on talent alone. Long before their famous feud and struggle for credit and control of the locker room began, 2 of their first 3 campaigns together ended in embarrassing playoff sweeps. It wasn't until head coach Phil Jackson arrived prior to the 1999 and 2000 season that anything seemed to click. Once Jackson installed his famous triangle offense, everything changed. An unstoppable three-peat followed, highlighted by Shaq's averages in the 2000 finals.